Hey, I'm Jen with Thanks Canine Solutions. I offer in-home dog training in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. You can visit my website if you'd like to find out more about my dog training services. This is my weekly dog training question and answer. And I'm going to get right into it with our first question, which is going to be a quick answer. What kind of restraints or security measures do you recommend for large dogs traveling in the car? Our 75-pound senior shepherd mix loves car rides, but my car and the farm truck don't have a back seat. I can turn off the airbags in both and am considering buying a harness that fastens to the seat belt, but even then I'm not sure if that would be safe. I honestly don't know. This is not my area of expertise. My dogs ride loose in the car in my back seat, which is probably not the safest. I know some people prefer their dogs to ride in crates. When I was training service dogs, there was one large service dog organization that recommended all their clients' service dogs travel at the foot of the passenger seat. So maybe you can have them ride there, but I bet you if you do a little research on Facebook, there's got to be a Facebook dog forum that's specifically about car safety and dogs, so I would look into that. I'm sorry, I wish I could help you more. Next question is, how do you teach an food motivated dog anything? He learns action words we do consistently pretty easily, like out for leaving the house, cross the street, but I'm having trouble with more simple but abstract things like recall and stay. It's a really good question. Thank you for asking that. So it's always funny to me when people say their dog isn't food motivated, because if he wasn't food motivated, he'd be dead because he wouldn't be motivated enough to eat. So what you're probably dealing with is he finds other things far more motivating than food. So there's a few approaches you can take. You can try and build his food drive if you want to put the time into that. You would start by hand feeding him and making sure that he's only getting food if he's taking it from your hand, and then you'd shape your luring from there. So I'd start by making it really easy, like literally I'm going to cup the food in my hand, and if you eat it, great. If you not, I'll put it away and I'll try again later. And from there, I would slowly start to move the food. And once I'm able to lure a dog to the point where I can run away and they run after me, then I can start to shape my recall. But you kind of answered your own question. So the things you do consistently, like out and cross, you're using rewards there. He likes to go outside, right? He likes to cross the street because it means you keep going the direction you're going. So probably I would look for other things that he finds rewarding. Like for Bamba, for example, when I was teaching him recall, he is food motivated, first of all. So it's far easier to train a dog who's food motivated than who's not. But it doesn't mean you need to use food to train a dog. When I was out in the woods with him, and I had a pretty well-shaped recall and I could let him off leash, if I would call him back and offer him food as a reward, he would actually turn his head at it. A big reward for him is freedom in general. So just teaching him, come to me and I'll let you go back to what you're doing is really, really valuable. And one of the places you can start with that is by giving him permission to leave your side instead of just allowing it. I believe I have a YouTube video on this, like of just my dogs in the woods, what it looks like when I unclip their leashes. Basically, if I'm going to bring my dog into the backyard or into a park or on a hike, and I'm going to let them off leash or drag a long line and move away from me, it's only when I say so. So just because I unclip the leash or drop the line, that's not permission for them to run away from me. So what I would do is I would bring them into the yard on leash, and when they look at me, I would tell them free time or break or whatever your word's going to be. And then once your dog's in the habit of going into a new environment and looking at you for permission to leave your side, then you can play around with dropping your long line or unclipping the leash. So I would find other things that motivate him, like I'm wondering what he does if you just kind of like run away from him. What does he do? Because one of the things I would do with Bamba is I would actually he'd be in one part of the yard on a long line when I first started this, and preferably in a fenced-in area if you have it, and I'd take off the other way, and he'd come running, and we'd kind of play a chase game a little bit. That worked really well for him. So that's something you could try. When you're naming anything, don't name it till you love how it looks. Right? So that whole food lure exercise, if you're going to tell him to come, don't use the word come until you get to the point where you can show him food and run away and he chases after you. Because what when you're teaching an obedience cue, you're not just teaching the physical behavior, you're teaching the mental state behind it. So until you get that motivation, I wouldn't use any formal words, whether it's the food or teaching him, I use the leash and reel you in, and then I give you permission to go away, or I run away from you and you bolt after me. I used another dog also, so I have a friend who has a really well-trained dog, and when Bamba was a puppy, he'd drag a long line through the woods, and her dog would be off leash, and she would call him back. He had a really good recall, and Bamba would just come running because he wanted to follow the other dog, and I'd just be there like, good boy, right? And I'd eventually say come with that as well. So those are a few different things you can try, and I've got some videos I can share in the comments section on my Facebook page, so I'll share that with you. It's definitely takes a lot of time and patience for sure, especially if the dog isn't willing to work for food in situations where there are better options like freedom. But freedom is a huge reward. It's one of the most valuable things you can give your dog. I hope that helps. Thank you guys so much for asking questions, and I will see you all next week.